students, and welcome back to Study Room. So today the topic that we're going to be covering is potential difference and resistance. So in the last class we studied about the circuit. We got to know what current is and what direction the current flows in. It flows in the direction opposite to the negative charge or electrons, and like we should go in the direction of positive. So like that, current also goes in the direction of positive or flows from the positive terminal of the battery to the negative. And we saw some components of the circuit, like how we represent the cell, that straight lines, the longer line for the positive terminal and the shorter line for the negative terminal. We saw the key and we solved some question based on it, and we learned the difference between units and symbols, right? I hope you have all those concepts in mind. So keeping that in mind, we're going to start this topic. Okay, let's go. So, electric potential difference. What exactly is potential difference? I'll explain it to you first, then we'll read from your PPT. So, you must have seen that there is only a flow of something possible when there is a difference in the two places that something has to flow from. So, if I have to put that into perspective for you, if there are two tanks like this. There are two tanks connected like this, okay. This is one tank, this is tank 1 and this is tank 2. Okay. Now if the water level in both the tanks is the same, if this is the water and this is like this little pipe that you can see is the connection between the two tanks. Okay. So if the water level in both the tanks is same, would the water flow between each of the two tanks? No, right? Because they're at the same level. Similarly, if in one tank, in one of the tanks, the water is at a higher level than the other tank. Say in this tank, the water is around this level, but in this tank, it is somewhere around here. So, can the water just stay in this tank, or the water start to flow from this tank to this tank till the level is somewhat same, where this tank increases in water level to here and this tank around here, right? So what I mean to say is, like water flows when there is a difference in the level of water in the tanks. Similarly, if you have learned in geography the concept of currents or wind. Wind always flows from a hotter region to a colder region or colder region to a hotter region, whatever you studied. So the concept that I'm trying to tell you here is that anything will flow only when there is a difference of some quantity between the two regions, right? So in that case, keeping that in mind, how do we apply it to our situation? Our situation it applies to because there is only a flow of charge or there is only a flow of current when there is some kind of a difference between 2 points. This we know logically because we've seen that in all different aspects of life, in all different examples of life, like this tank example or say air current example, there is only a flow of heat or a flow of energy when there is a difference of heat or difference of energy between the 2 points that anything has to flow from, right? So similarly, between 2 points, current or charge only move or flow when there is some kind of a difference, right? Now what is this difference? In case of electricity or in case of electric current, what that difference is it's a potential difference. So now let's read in your PPT. It says that the electrons move along the conductor only if there is a difference of electric pressure called the potential difference. Okay. So, current only flows from one point in the circuit into the another point if there is a difference in potential pressure, electric pressure or a potential difference between 2 points. So, if this is point A and this is point B. If point A and point B do not have a difference in electric pressure, current will not flow. Only if there is a difference in electric pressure, or how we call it is if there is a potential difference. That's how we say it. If there is a potential difference between these 2 points, only then will electric charge and therefore electric current flow. Okay. So here you can see that the potential difference is because the difference in charges. Here the potential difference is because there is a different charge present on these two spheres. This sphere is negatively charged and this sphere is positively charged. So similarly, can you think example where we studied like one terminal is positive, one terminal is negative. Do you remember what we studied about? It is a battery or number of cells combined together, right? A battery. Like we represent a battery like this. This is the positive terminal, this is the negative terminal. And to this battery, the whole, like your light bulb or whatever your components of the circuit are, they are connected to the battery. And current only flows. Now, you have to start connecting each and everything we do in the further classes to what we have studied in the previous classes. So, we said that current flows, like electrons flow from the positive the electrons flow from the negative terminal to the positive terminal. Current, like us, wants to be positive, so current like us wants to be positive, so it flows from the positive terminal to the negative terminal. This is I or current. So what is happening here? Because of a potential difference. Now we've learned another topic or another concept that current will only flow if there is some kind of a difference between two points. And in electrical terms, when we're studying about circuits and current electricity, what difference is that? That difference is nothing but a potential difference or a difference in electric pressure. So potential difference is the term that we usually use. That's why I'm saying potential difference again and again. So you should know, as soon as I say potential difference, you should know, okay, it is a difference in electric pressure between the 2 points. So here it is shown to you that these negatively and positively charged spheres have a potential difference. It's written here, potential difference. So current flows from the, so see, they have shown electron flowing, right? And we know the current flows opposite to the direction of the electron flow. So the current will be flowing in this direction. Okay, so whatever you want to say the charge flow, you say charge flow, you want to say current flow, whatever, because they are both interconnected. If there is current, that means there is charge flow. If there is charge flow, that means there will be a current. So in a battery also we know that this, in a circuit also we know that this circuit part or this battery is what creates that potential difference because of which current actually flows. Okay, that's why if you remove the battery, if you just keep this bulb in this circuit, will current flow? No, right? Why? Because there is nothing here that can generate that potential difference. Current will only flow because like we saw in the case of the tanks, water only flows when there is a difference in the level, right? Current only flows when there is a difference in potentials, or there is a potential difference, or there is a difference of electric pressure, as your PPT says. Okay, so you should remember this, that the battery is the reason that current actually flows in the circuit, because it provides the potential difference. Okay, moving on. Now we'll read further that the electric potential difference between 2 points in an electric circuit carrying some current is same as the work done. Now this is an important definition here, that the electric, I'm going to use short form PD for potential difference. You will write it completely. Electric potential difference between 2 points is the work done. Work is an important concept here. You've studied about work in previous classes. Is the work done to move a unit charge. What does unit mean? We know that unit or unity always means 1, right? So unit charge means 1, and what do we write here? What is the unit of charge? It is coulomb. So we write 1 coulomb, a unit charge from one point to the other. Okay, it is a very important definition. Okay, so this is how we define potential difference, that it is the work done. Now, when we say to move 1 unit charge, we can also say that work done per unit charge, right? And you remember I told you that when we say per unit charge, how we represent it mathematically is we divide it by whatever quantity we are saying. So work per unit charge means work divided by the charge. This is the formula of potential difference. Okay, now we're going to see how the formula is written. So the formula and unit of potential difference. So I just told you that work divided by charge is our potential difference, and we know that the symbol we use for work is W. The symbol we use for charge is Q. We've already learned this, okay? And the symbol we use for potential difference is V. This is something new for you, that V, this V is the symbol that we use for potential difference, okay? And what is its unit? What is its unit? The SI unit of potential difference is volt. Okay, so now if we have to define 1 volt, you remember when we want to define any quantity or the unit of any quantity, what do? In the formula we put everything as 1, so that we get the definition of 1 unit of that quantity, right? What I mean to say is, so here if we want to define volt, what is 1 volt? What do? We put this work as 1 and we put this charge as 1. So we learned that we put each of the other quantities as 1. So if we want to find out 1 volt, we would put work as 1. We know the unit of work is joule. And we will put charge as 1. We know the unit of charge is coulomb. So we say that we get this 1 volt. So we say 1 volt is the potential difference between 2 points when 1 joule of work is done to move how many coulombs of charge? 1. We have taken everything as 1. To move 1 coulomb of charge from one point to another. So when 1 joule of work is done to take 1 coulomb of charge from point A to point B, from one point to the other. So the potential difference between those 2 points is known as 1 volt. That is, 1 volt is the potential difference between 2 points. Okay, 1 joule of work is done to move 1 coulomb of charge from that point to another. So you can also write it in terms of when 1 coulomb of charge, 1 joule of work is done to take 1 coulomb of charge from one end of a conductor or one point of the circuit to another point, then the potential difference between those 2 points is 1 volt. Okay, moving on. Now, voltmeter. So you remember when we studied current, we studied that there is a object or there is a measuring instrument that can measure the current across a conductor. Similarly, do you remember the name of that instrument? Well, it was called ammeter. If you remember it, excellent. Similarly, there is an instrument that can measure the voltage drop or the potential difference between 2 points in any circuit or any 2 points in a circuit, that is known as voltmeter. Okay, so you can just remember it as it's used to measure the voltage, so it is known as voltmeter. Okay, so now I'll show you one small GIF which would make it more clear to you what exactly the voltmeter does. Okay, so look at this. What does this GIF show you? It shows this gray box is nothing but the key. So you can see as soon as this key is taken to the left side, the switch is basically off. So the bulb stops glowing. And when it's turned to the right side, the circuit is complete. And what does the voltmeter do? The voltmeter basically, you can see as soon as the switch is off, the voltmeter reading goes to 0. That means there is no potential difference between the 2 points. But as soon as it's switched on, the switch is switched on, the voltmeter shows a certain reading, which is nothing but the potential difference between the 2 points in the circuit. Okay. Now, let's move on and do a few questions. Okay, so the first question says, how much work is done in moving a charge of 2 coulomb across 2 points having a potential difference of 12 volts? So again, as we do writing every question, we write the given. What is given to us? That the charge. How do we represent the charge? What is the symbol? The symbol is Q. Very good. Then it is given potential difference. What is the difference? Potential difference symbol? It is V only. You can remember that the unit and the symbol is represented by the same letter V in case of potential difference. Okay. And then what do we have to find? We have to find the work. How is it represented? it is represented by a W. So we're going to use the simple formula that we learned, that V is work done per unit charge, which means W by Q. So we have to find W, we take Q to the other side. So V into Q is equal to W. We put the values of what is given to us. V is nothing but 12 volt into Q is given to us as 2 coulomb is equal to W. So 12 twos are 24. So 24, what is the unit of work? It is joule. So 24 joule is the work done. Okay, great. Let's move on. Now the next question says, name a device that helps maintain a potential difference across a conductor. What does maintain means? That maintain basically means that it helps to set up and keep a potential difference across 2 points for the currents to flow. I just told you when I was teaching you in this video only. Do you remember it? I told you that the battery or a collection of the cells, which is called a battery, is what helps maintain a potential difference. Why? How is the battery represented? Like this, positive, negative terminal. So because of the potential difference between these positive and negative terminals, the current flows in the circuit like this. Whatever you want to connect to this point, you want to connect the bulb, whatever you want to. Okay, so you will write that the battery helps maintain potential difference across conductor. Okay, now if instead of maintain it has said measure, what would the answer be then? What helps measure the potential difference across a conductor? That's nothing but a voltmeter, right? Okay, moving on. So the next question says, what is meant by saying that the potential difference between 2 points is 1 volt? So you use the standard definition of 1 volt. If we have got V equal to 1 and we know the formula of V is nothing but W by Q, work done per unit charge. So if we want to get an answer of W by Q as 1, these both values have to be 1, right? These both can be like the same number. It can be 12 by 12 and it can come out to be 1. But we know in a standard way, when we want to define it, we use 1 as the standard units for it, right? The standard quantity for it. So we say that 1 volt is the potential difference between 2 points. You write the whole thing, okay? I write it in short form. Between 2 points when 1 joule of work is done to take 1 coulomb of charge from one of the points to the other. Okay? Great. Moving on. Now, the next question says, how much energy is given to each coulomb of charge passing through a 6-volt battery? Now, how do we solve this? Is we use the concept, if you remember, we studied in work, energy and time, that work is nothing but energy stored. Work is using that stored energy, right? So, in that work done, there is actually energy stored. So, we're going to use that concept and we're going to write that as we have to find the energy, right? So, we write the energy is stored and is used as work. That means, like in real life also, you can only do as much work as you have the energy to do, right? If you have a lot of energy, you do a lot of work. If you have little energy left in you, you do little work. So, the energy that you have actually is equal to the work you do. Like if you're assuming that you use all your energy to do work, like that's how we say an ideal situation is, that all the energy stored is used into work. So in that case we write that the energy is equal to work done, right? So do we know the formula of energy or do we know the formula of work done in case of potential difference? And in that context, we know the formula of work done, right? Because we know potential difference is work done upon the charge, right? So if we want to find work done, and we know that the potential difference is given as 6 volts, and how many coulombs of charge, how would we get to know? Read the question. It's given to each coulomb of charge. That means each 1 coulomb of charge. Each means just a single, right? So here work done is nothing but V into Q. Right? What is Q here? 6 volts. What is 1 here? Sorry, what is V here? 6 volts. What is Q here? It is 1 coulomb. So this means the answer is 6 and the unit of work is joules. So 6 joules of work is given to, or 6 joules of energy we say is given to each coulomb of charge. So you can also remember this by, if you remember when you were studying work energy, you saw that the unit of work and the unit of energy is the same. It's joules, right? So that should also give you an idea that they're actually the same things but in different forms. When energy is the one that is stored, and when you do something, you do some actions, that energy is what is used to do the work. So they are actually the same quantity in different forms. Okay. Moving on. Now, we're going to do some electrical components and their symbols. So you've already learned how the electric cell looks like, but while we usually make the cell, we use 1 and 2. These two lines, a positive and a negative terminals, to represent a single cell. And usually a battery is made up of 3, 4 cells or more, 3 or more cells like that. It can be 2 cells also. So a battery is made up of 2, 3, 4, so on, number of cells. So how would you represent that? You would do 1 cell, 2 cell, 3 cell, and so on. So this would make our job really tedious. So in convention, usually when we are doing or making circuits, we use just the symbol of a cell and we say that it's a battery. Okay, even though the standard, like anywhere in a table or anything, you will see that this single line, the 2 lines, positive and the negative line, will represent a cell. But when we're doing a circuit, usually we start using just this 1 cell to represent the whole battery. Okay, so we know this is the symbol for electric cell, positive terminal and negative terminal. Now this combination of electric batteries is shown like this, like I told you. Then an open switch. Now this line represents the one part of the conductor. Then this is what represents a switch. So now the switch is basically a component in which you insert another component and the circuit becomes completed. So when that piece is taken out, the circuit is broken. And you know, for current to flow, the circuit has to be closed and continuous. So if you take out that piece, it's almost like you're taking out a piece from the circuit. So is the circuit closed and continuous? It's not. So will current flow? It won't. It would become an open circuit. So this is how we represent an open switch. The representation of the switch is like this. It's like the brackets and these are the wires. So say this could be, there could be like a battery connected to this and a resistor. Other things can be connected to it, but what you need to know is how we represent a switch. This is an open switch. And like I told you, that component, when we put that component in, the circuit becomes complete. So how we represent that component is this one dot, big dot in the middle. Okay, so this is an open switch. This is a closed switch. So circuit incomplete in an open switch. Circuit is incomplete. And in a closed switch, obviously the circuit is complete. Okay. Now, if I want to show 2 wires that are connected, I can show them like this, or I can even show them, say, if these are 2 separate wires, if this is wire 1 and wire 2, there is a battery here, say there is a bulb here. If this is, there are 2 different wires, I need not draw like this big dot that is shown here. You can draw it, but it's not compulsory. If you don't want to show if you want to show that the wires are connected, you can simply show them being joined. But if you want to show that these wires are just, maybe the wires are not connected, maybe they're just going like one on top of the other. Like when you look from above, it would almost look like they're joined, but they're actually not. They're just passing through like above or below each other, but they're not actually meeting. So how do you represent that? Like if this wire is going straight and this wire is crossing it. If I draw it like this, what does it look like? That they're meeting at this point. Right? It looks like they're joined at this point. But if I don't want to show, how will I represent that? No, this wire is not actually joined. It's just above it. When you look from above, it looks like they're joined, but they're not joined. How do we represent that? We bring this wire here and we just take it like a speed bump and we take it like this. So this is the representation that shows that this wire is not joined, but it's actually going above like this from the other wire. Okay. This is the wire crossing. And an electric bulb, like I showed you, it's represented either like this, or you can draw a circle around that. But if your PPT says this, you should use just this notation. You should use just this notation, okay? Just this. This is an electric bulb, okay? Moving on. Now this blocker, you need not know for your syllabus right now. So I'm not telling you that right now. I'm telling you what you actually have to know, okay? So this is what they both actually look a little similar, but this is how we represent a resistor in a circuit, like 2 or 3 sharp peaks or mountains, and we're done. That's a resistor. Okay, and a resistor, what is a resistor? How does it work in a circuit? All of that we're going to do in a bit. Now this is an emitter or a ammeter, what we studied, which is used to measure current, which is represented by, when I draw these straight lines, this basically means this is a part of a wire, okay. So it is represented in a circle because it is an ammeter, so it's A. It also has a positive and negative terminal which has to be connected to the positive and negative of the battery, and like this, and a voltmeter is represented similarly with a V, okay. So this is all about the circuit components and how they are represented, okay. Now, what principle governs the working of these gadgets? The principle is actually Ohm's law. What is Ohm's law? We're just going to study about that. So, if you look at the activity 12.1 of your NCERT, you will see that there is a table drawn like this. So, what exactly you have to do for this table when you go to your physics lab? What you do is you connect a circuit like this. You have this resistor and you have an ammeter which is connected like this, and a voltmeter is connected here. Okay. What are these connections called? All that you're just going to do. So first you just connect one battery. Okay. And like I said, we connect the positive of the voltmeter here to the positive of the battery. You can see that the positive is on the positive side of the battery, and similarly negative is on the negative side of the battery, and this ammeter also, this left side is the positive one, because here on the left side in the battery is the positive terminal and on the right side is the negative terminal, okay. So this is the negative terminal of the ammeter. So what happens is, when we just use this one cell and we note down the value of V and A, or what the ammeter and voltmeter reading are, we write it down here, ammeter reading and voltmeter reading, and we calculate by dividing V by I, we calculate one quantity. Now, when we increase this number of cells, say instead of 2 cells, instead of 1 cell, I make this 2 cells. Again, I take the reading of V and the reading of I write it down here. Again, I calculate V by I. Similarly, I keep doing it for 3 cells, 4 cells and so on. And I write the corresponding value. So, you will notice here that this V by I quantity that you are getting in every single case would almost be the same. Okay. So, what will happen when you plot a graph between V and I? You will get a straight line, right? Why does this happen? A scientist discovered that the voltage and the current in a circuit are basically proportional. How do we represent that? We represent it by V is proportional to I. Okay? And If you remember, whenever we have a proportionality sign like this, what do we do to remove this proportionality sign? We introduced a constant of proportionality, right? So here our constant of proportionality is R, or the resistance of the wire. So if I take I to this side, it would become V by I is equal to R, and R is constant. See, if there is a wire, say copper wire or a nickel wire or a chromium wire, would the resistance of the wire change? It will be a little more clear when we study resistance, but resistance of the wire is a constant quantity, okay? Unless temperature or stuff like that you'll just study about changes in a normal reading temperature, like when we're in a lab, when we're not changing any environmental temperature, any environmental say variables, we're not changing the temperature, not the pressure, anything, then the resistance is constant. So this V by I, like you obtained in the table in the last slide, you will see that the V by I is constant in each case, which is nothing but the resistance of that resistor. So this graph, this straight line graph that is obtained, also has a slope of the resistance. Like, what is the slope, you remember? Y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. That is, if you take any 2 points, say this point and this point, say this point is x1 y1 and this point is x2 y2. So when you draw this triangle, do you remember how you calculate this slope? And the slope of this triangle is nothing but y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1, which will come out to be nothing but r. Okay, moving on. Now that law is known as the Ohm's law. Now it's actually written what I just explained it to you. So let's just read in your PPT. So it says that the potential difference, or V as we represent it, across the ends of a metallic wire, that is across the ends of any given conducting wire that we have in an electric circuit, is directly proportional to the current flowing through it, or V is proportional to I, right? This is capital I. Okay, provided, like I told you, the environmental conditions shouldn't change, the temperature, pressure, all these conditions have to remain same. That is when these two are proportional, okay? Or V by I is the constant R. And how do we write the relation? We write V equal to IR. This relation is what we call the Ohm's law. This is a very important relation. You're going to do it in a lot of numericals, okay? Now I'll just show you one small GIF again, which is going to make things a little more clear to you how actually the electrons and why the electrons or current flows in a circuit, okay? Okay, so if we look at this animation, what is happening? Can you see which terminal of the battery are these going towards? If you don't know, this terminal where you see this small circle drawn is the positive terminal. So if these balls are somewhat leaving from the positive terminal, then is this representing current? Does current go from the positive to the negative? Yes, right? So this is actually representing the current that is flowing. Now, what is these lines of what are these lines of force, this line that is shown of force and the voltage, what are these lines? This is basically showing you that here you can see that the resistor is almost like on an inclined plane, right? Why is that? Because you can see this is basically to show you that there is a difference in the voltage, which we call a potential difference. That means one end of a resistor is at a higher ground or a higher voltage. You can see that arrow tells you voltage. So one end of the resistor is at a higher voltage and the other end is at a lower voltage. So is there a potential difference? Yes, because the difference in the potential, difference in the voltage is there. So there is a potential difference. That is why current flows through the circuit. And what causes that potential difference? The battery is what maintains the potential difference in the circuit. And the battery basically exerts a force for the current to keep flowing in the circuit. Okay? Okay, moving on. We're going to study what is resistance. So I said it so many times, like the resistor provides resistance. Then we saw that in V equal to IR, the resistance is the constant of proportionality. So what exactly is this resistance? Okay, let's see. So your PPT says that the current is different for different components. That means the current that flows through different components. Even if 1 ampere is flowing through different components, say a copper wire and a nickel wire, it would flow in a different way. Why? Because the motion of electron through a conductor is retarded by its resistance. What does that mean? What does the English word resistance mean? Resist or resistance mean to basically stop or slow down or oppose the flow of, right? So resistance basically means that a resistor provides resistance to the flow of current. So you don't have to think any different than you do normally by the word resistance. So any wire, say you have a copper wire and you have a nickel wire. So if the current is finding it much easier to flow through a copper wire than a nickel wire, that means the nickel wire has more resistance. That means the nickel wire is resisting the flow of current, right? And if current flows easily to the copper wire, what does that mean? That the copper wire does not provide a lot of resistance or opposition to the flow of current, right? So based on that, we say that the resistance of a conductor is more when current is not able to flow through it easily. That means it resists or opposes or retards the flow of current. And when the resistance is less, that means current can pass through the resistor easily. Okay, simple as that. And why is resistance provided? If you basically look into a conductor, if I cut out the conductor like this, the conductor, obviously, if I make it bigger, say this is a conductor, okay? This is a small wire, I've just magnified it. So these are the atoms in the conductor, say. These are very closely packed, obviously. So any electron, E minus, this is how we represent an electron. The electron, basically the movement of electron is what causes the current, right? It goes in the opposite direction to the flow of electrons. So if an electron has to move through here, it's going to have to like squeeze in and it's going to have a lot of difficulty to pass through the resistor, right? That is why we say that you can just say a conductor or any wire. So that is why we say that a wire or a conductor offers some amount of resistance to the flow of electrons or to the flow of electricity because of this force of attraction between the atoms of the conductor or of the wire that we have taken. Okay, so whenever less resistance is offered by a conductor, say we connect, if you look at this is your activity 12.2, right? Just check in your book, this is most probably your activity 12.2. So in this gap in XY, if once you connect copper wire, if copper wire is given to you, you connect the copper wire once, you note down the reading of the ammeter, then you remove this copper wire and you connect your bulb here. Then again you note down the reading of the ammeter. You will see that the reading of the ammeter is different. But why is it different? Nothing has changed. It's the same ammeter, it's the same battery, the key hasn't changed, the wires in the circuit haven't changed. What has changed? Only this component between X, Y. So, if copper offers less resistance to the flow of electrons or current, that means electrons or current can pass through copper easily. So, that means the value in the ammeter, the value of current in ammeter would be higher than the light bulb. Okay, so if less resistance is offered by a conductor, it is known as a good conductor. And if more resistance or high resistance is offered by a conductor, it is known as a bad conductor. That means bad conductor in the way it is bad for current to flow through it because the conductor is going to resist the flow of current a lot, right? Because it is high resistance. That means high resisting power or high opposition to the flow of current. Okay, I hope this concept is clear now. Now, conductors, resistors and insulators, like I just told you, a good conductor is a component that offers a low resistance. A conductor having some appreciable resistance, that means a little bit resistance, not too much, is a resistor. And a component of identical size that offers a high resistance is a poor conductor or a bad conductor. Okay, and an insulator offers even higher resistance. That means very high resistance, it is almost impossible for current to flow through it. It resists the flow of current so much. Like you will see the ammeter reading as like 0.001 ampere. Like that little current can flow through it. The resistor opposes the current so much. Okay. So students, in this topic, you learnt about the components of the circuit, you learnt about the Ohm's law, you learnt about what resistance is, you learned how resistance affects different components, you learnt about the different symbols that we use in a circuit, how is a battery, key, a junction, how is an open switch represented, how is a resistor represented, how is an ammeter, voltmeter represented. You learned all of those representations of the circuit, you learned the Ohm's law. And now in the next class, we're going to do a little more. You also learned about the potential difference. Don't forget that also. It's also a very important topic. Okay, so in the next class, we're going to do a little more about resistance and resistivity. Okay, so make sure you're thorough with all your concepts. I hope you enjoyed this lecture, students. Thank you so much and